Angela Wakefield. I work for the Environment Agency, and my role is a catchment coordinator. I think I may have been introduced to you as an environmental scientist. So that's my background, my training. I've been at the Environment Agency for 12 years in total, with 1 year gap to work for Cumbria County Council. And before that, the rest of my 25 year career in the environment sector was spent in the private sector as an environmental consultant. Now I'm a catchment coordinator, and I'll tell you a bit more about that later, but basically it means I do partnership working for the Environment Agency. Next slide, please. So you asked me to describe a little bit about who the Environment Agency is. I'm sure you've all heard of us. We were established in 1996, right? I think 30 years old this year, so it's a bit of a landmark for us. We're a big organisation covering the whole of England. We currently have 13,000 employees, so I feel like a very small fish in a big pond. But the way we're structured, I think it helps us give a really local connection to communities. We have 14 areas, so the area that I work in is Cumbria and Lancashire, and my patch is actually West Cumbria, so there's one of me covering every catchment in England. Doing the same role, that partnership working role. So that gives us a local focus. So we were set up to both protect and enhance the environment. So those are two words to remember: protect and enhance. And at the moment, we have 3 really clear long-term goals in our overarching strategy. One is about promoting healthy air, land, and water, and also in doing so, we're supporting nature recovery, because we know there is a nature crisis. We've got a sustainable growth agenda. So because we're a non-departmental government body, we very much align with government's growth agendas. So, we're trying to meet that requirement of sustainable growth. And climate change, obviously the big thing at the moment, and will be going forwards increasingly. So that the resilience of our country to climate change is one of our biggest 3 priorities. So I've tried to capture in picture form what we do, because our remit is pretty huge. You probably know us best for our flood risk role, so that's the centre diagram. But we also have quite a large regulatory role. So the top picture is of a waste process. So we regulate big industry, including the waste industry, the nuclear industry, that might be a surprise to some of you, but the environmental regulator for that industry, the water industry, you'll probably be really familiar with that, and many of the sectors of industry we regulate. We have a large role around water quality, also water quantity. So we're regulating the abstraction of water from the environment, making sure people aren't taking too much, so there's enough left for the environment. This bottom picture here and here shows really some of the more specialist skills that we have within the organisation. This is a picture of Force Crag Mine, you might recognise. So we have a lot of skills within groundwater and contaminated land. So we're working very much with organisations like the Mine Remediation Authority to tackle those kind of things that cause pollution. We have a big role in fisheries, both managing fisheries and also promoting habitat improvement to help fish populations recover. Something that's not so relevant to this geography, but it's a big role. We manage over 1,000 kilometres of inland irrigation waterways, like canals and things like that, mainly in the south. And then we have this conservation role, this ecology and conservation role that not many people see us as an ecological restoration organisation. But I'm going to talk about what our role is in that, both enhancing and protecting nature and ecology. So that's about us. Next slide, please. So my role, I mentioned, is one of partnership working. And I think you asked the question, what can we do in addition to our statutory duties? So this is all about the added extra that we do. And we can only do that really by working in partnership with others. So I've put a whole host of logos on the slide that you won't be able to see, but perhaps you can look at afterwards if you want to. But these are all organisations that are members of what's called the West Cumbria Catchment Partnership. So these partnerships were set up around about 2011 in a response really to the fact that top-down regulation was not the only thing that we needed to be doing. We needed to be doing more. That wasn't addressing all of the issues in the land and water environment that we face. So there was this more bottom-up approach around partnership working at catchment scale to try to bring in other people and communities into that process. So we're part of that. The West Cumbria Rivers Trust hosts that organisation. And it meets about 3 times a year, and there are various subgroups covering different parts of West Cumbria. And there's 4 key roles so that group performs. So they plan the things that we need to do with the catchment to fix issues and problems. We all share information and expertise, so we're not just working in our silos. We coordinate delivery, so we know who's doing what, where and when. And then we're all about championing nature-based solutions. So that's the main thing that we deliver, our solutions that support and benefit nature. Next slide, please. So in terms of our contribution into that process as a partner, we fund projects. So our operating model is that we're a funder, and we work with other partners who might deliver on our behalf or in collaboration with us on the ground. We're also offering technical advice. I've mentioned we have those technical teams, so we can offer that technical input on fisheries, ecology, geomorphology, a host of things. We're also holding the hand of people who have to go through our regulatory processes to deliver something, because that can sometimes be quite complicated. So we support people in doing that. And I think generally we provide input for strategic thinking around what do we need to do, where should we best spend our limited cash. And in terms of cash, if we think about our contribution to these partnerships nationally, so we have an environment programme, and that's how we funnel money to these partnerships. In total, it's about £50 million a year nationally that goes into that. But partners provide a significant proportion of that funding. So as an environment agency and DEFRA bodies, we're providing about 54% of that. Partners bring in the other 46% in match. So that's how we get things done in partnership. So just to give you an idea of what we can deliver with that money, around 600 projects are funded a year. Typically, I think this data was from 2024-25, we delivered 6 projects in West Cumbria. That doesn't mean there's nothing else happening. It's just this is through that partnership model we're delivering these projects. Next slide, please. So a very short case study. How long have I got left? 2 minutes. 2 minutes. So a little case study to bring all this to life is Derwent Water. So I picked a lake because there are quite a few lakes in the area that you live and work in. They're really crucial to the economy and tourism. We all live here, and it's wonderful to spend time in and around these lakes as residents of this area. They add our well-being, and it's just, it's an amazing place to live. So, but they suffer from challenges, pollution, tourism. It puts extra pressure on them. Just by dint of us being here, working and living in the environment, puts extra pressure on these spaces. So the partnership working really helps us to address some of those issues. Next slide, please. Final slide. So Derwent Water, a couple of years ago, was established as a bathing water, and I do need to give credit here to West Cumbria Rivers Trust and the National Trust taking the initiative to apply for bathing water status in part of the lake, because it's really put a sharp focus on the health of the lake in a way that there wasn't before. We're now monitoring it more, and we're trying to understand how the health of the lake affects the health of people in a way that we didn't really understand before. So in response to that, and the fact that the first year of monitoring indicated that conditions were not great for bathing water status, we established a partnership, which was both the kind of statutory organisations that you might be familiar with, but also local people are represented on that partnership. And the main things that we've been doing is raising awareness of lake health and how we measure that, how we understand that, enhancing the monitoring. So we've brought in more funding. We're doing more monitoring than than we might do as Environment Agency alone. We're providing opportunities for citizen science so people can get involved and educated, and it helps with kind of education of how we actually monitor lakes and how to understand the data that we're getting back. And then we're also supporting the business community, because by shining a light on this, it can risk having a detriment to those businesses that rely on the lake. So we're supporting them through that process. So far, we're making good headway. So that's one example. Happy to talk about more, but that's the end of